Alright, this is the Illusion reporting from Malibu, California, somewhere on spaceship Earth. Today I woke up with a Facebook alert from a friend of mine about this situation that occurred Friday on the California campus of UC Davis. I have to say, my first initial response to these images was quite startling. I have to admit, I went to a primal state of rage, and then I began to watch it, and I noticed something quite beautiful going on, was that these protesters were taking it, were allowing themselves to be viciously sprayed with toxic chemicals, and were not responding in a violent way. And that to me was quite amazing, because my initial reaction was one of anger, one of frustration, one of pain, and one of hate. And then as I watched these demonstrators bravely standing their ground and allowing themselves to be chemically pepper sprayed or maced, I was so proud of them. And then I began to realize the power that these young people had, because nobody was acting in a violent manner. None of the onlookers, none of the protesters. The only people acting in a violent manner were the police. And the only reason anyone acts in a violent manner is out of fear. And I began to realize as I watched this video how absolutely terrified the police and the system as a whole is of us. And that as soon as we begin to realize that we do not need to react to violence with violence, the fear of these individuals increases exponentially. I mean, look at these police officers. They are absolutely terrified that they could inflict this sort of violence on these defenseless young people and have nobody respond back to them violently. They don't know what to do. I mean, look at them with their weapons and their riot gear. They are ready to return violence with violence. That's all they're trained to do. And when no violence occurs, they really don't know what to do. And they become even more afraid because they know something's occurring that they don't understand. And I believe that this situation at UC Davis is the beginning of something magnificent and beautiful, because it is the first time I have seen the protesters not be afraid. You know, I watched a lot of the other protests where the cops were acting in a violent manner and people were acting in the same way. But these police officers are the ones we need to forgive. These officers are the ones that we must love and embrace, because after all, they are just us in uniforms, and they are mere children compared to these young protesters. Look at them. Look at the fear behind these masks. These individuals have never experienced a situation like this, because they are absolutely powerless to do anything. because they've already inflicted their violence upon the protesters, and the violence was not returned to them, rendering them essentially powerless. I mean, look at this. I mean, look at the people swarming with their cameras. It is absolutely amazing what these people are doing in the face of these beings that are conditioned to inflict violence upon us. And when we don't inflict violence upon them, we render them moot. They are the emperor without clothing. And since these police officers are just the foot soldiers of this larger system as a whole, we can begin to remove the power from the power structure that is enslaving all of us. And I think ultimately that is what the whole Occupy movement is about, is removing the 1%'s ability to inflict pain upon the other 99% of us. But in all actualities, we must realize that we are 100%. These officers in fear behind their masks, they are us, and we are them. And we have to love them way more than your average bear. Because what the protesters have shown is they love themselves enough that they are not afraid of these guys. I mean, look at these guys. They want someone to throw a rock at them so they can fire their little guns into the crowd. I mean, look at how scared this guy is. He does not know what to make of it. What do you do when you're outnumbered 20-1 by people who don't want to hurt you? People that are basically letting you know that you work for them. And this is how we are going to take back the dream from the haters. By loving them and forgiving them and allowing them to walk away peaceably. And I think that this situation up at UC Davis is how we need to model all of our activities against the ones that would hurt us, is to basically look them in the face, allow them to inflict their violence upon us, and forgive them. And when we forgive them, we've shifted the karmic energy into them. Because every one of these police officers, deep down inside, knows they did something wrong this very afternoon. And it'll slowly begin to change them, because they will begin to realize that they are no different than the kids they inflicted the violence upon. They will slowly begin to realize that there is no difference between any of them. And in there lies the victory. But what follows next is one of the most glorious scenes of protesting I have ever witnessed, because it truly shows the power of us as a collective beings. Look at this lady, the chancellor of UC Davis, forced to walk to her car in front of all the students who are not saying a word to her, who are not acting violent to her, who are looking at her and letting her know that they see her, that they see this being that has allowed a criminal and violent act to be inflicted upon other beings at her behest. And it is because of their ability to just sit and stare at her, that the most powerful message is being made, that we see you, that we, the people that have compassion and love, see you, the haters, and we forgive you, that we want you to join us in the sunlight of the Spirit and put down your negative frequencies and join us in positive frequencies. I really would like to say to the UC Davis protesters and students, you have absolutely shined in this moment. And I hope to all other citizens around the planet that you see the power of this day at the UC Davis campus, that we can beat these people without violence, just as Gandhi and Martin Luther King were trying to teach us. Thank you.